I'm just gonna go ahead and cloak now. You can't hear me crying if I cloak. Hit the dwarves with the booze gun to get them drunk, then lead them into some mining equipment. It's gonna be morally ambiguous-some. I will defend you to the death, minion. Oh God, no I won't! I can't in good conscience let you continue in your foolhardy quest. You shall not pass!
Hey everybody, welcome to BrickVault. Today in front of us we get to review these amazing little custom builds of Claptrap, or 3 different types of Claptraps. He's the extremely rude and crude unofficial mascot of Borderlands, the 2009 open world RPG game that's been pretty popular, had a lot of DLC, a Borderlands 2, and also the Borderlands pre-sequel. The 3rd one's coming up pretty soon, and I've played it a bit with my roommate. It's a lot of fun, there's a lot of guns in the game. And recently, when we were talking with the designer Jarek, who's also a big fan of the game, he decided to make a couple of different versions of this little Claptrap robot. Not gonna lie, this guy's pretty gnarly, and I wouldn't be doing this video justice if I didn't at least include some of his dirtier quotes, so just be forewarned throughout this video that you might see things you don't normally see on this channel.
Let's tear this planet a new toll! Yeah!
Technically, he's the CL4P TP general purpose robot manufactured by Hyperion, and the history of this guy is relatively muddled, but all you really need to know is that his programming is overly enthusiastic, despite the fact that he suffers from severe loneliness, is a complete coward, and has absolutely no conscience.
Guys, these are human beings with lives and families and... I'm totally kidding. Screw those guys!
With the latest version of the game, you can actually play as one of these robots, and there's about 1 million different skins that you can choose. And what Jarek has done here is made 3 different versions, probably the 3 most popular or most well-known versions of the guy. We've got our main version of Claptrap, built in yellow with the white stripe. Jakobs Claptrap, which is wood, and he's got a little bit of gold embossed there. It's about as close as you're gonna get to a steampunk version of the guy. And also the police officer version, or meter-maid version, of Claptrap as well. Before we jump into the build details, I do want to say that if you wanted to buy the instructions for this little robot, or all 3 actually, you can find them at our web store, www.brickvault.toys. Buying instructions is a great way to help support us here at the channel, as well as the extremely talented designers that we work with, like Jarek. With each purchase, you get the PDF step-by-step building guide, as well as a digital parts list, so you can order the pieces online very easily. And let me know which one of these 3 Claptraps is your favorite in the comments below. Let's jump into the very first guy. Let's start off with the classic.
Flint and I had a gentleman's agreement in the past. I give him the loot from the bodies Jack ditches in the glacier. He promises not to torture me for hours at a time. Then he does it anyway. But that ends today.
The build here is primarily built for display. Obviously, this guy can't stand up on his own because he's just a single wheel at the bottom. And Jarek has built in a very, very subtle little clip piece with a trans bar with a stud at the end, so he stays in place on his little sandy platform. It's also set up in a way that makes it look like Claptrap is sort of intentionally leaning to one side. He's got one hand on his hip, if he had hips, and the other one is holding up one of the endless massive hand cannons that the game comes with. I didn't ask, and I don't know the game well enough to know if this is like a specific type of weapon. If you guys are more familiar, feel free to take your best guess, but certainly based on the way this thing looks, it feels very Borderlands-y. Looks like you got a couple of massive barrels in the front with a light at the bottom and a huge scope on the top, and of course it's got some type of color flare, which comes in the form of yellow stripes for this particular hand cannon. I think Jarek really gets the look of Claptrap down though when you see all the angles come together right towards that singular eye in the front. It's made up of a wheel piece and just a trans blue stud, but there's a nice series of connections that has the sloped tile pieces leaning forward ever so slightly and splaying away from each other, with very little gaps to show any spacing or differentiation of detail. His arms can of course be changed around for different types of positions. The shoulders are on mixel joints and the elbows are clipped together, while the hands are clips on top of clips, or clipception if you will, and it allows you to make Claptrap much more expressive, which is, you know, half the fun. He is, after all, a relatively colorful character.
The jerk kept me as his torture plaything for a few months. We played games like Dodge the Blowtorch and Don't Get Dunked into the Pool of Acid. I was really good at the first one.
I don't get opportunities to put extremely raunchy material into our videos, so yeah, this isn't gonna stop, by the way. Anyways, let's move on. Let's move on to the Jakobs Claptrap robot.
A simple premeditated murder, and you'll be on your way. Easy peasy.
First thing you'll notice is that there's actually a lot of wood detailing on the outside of this. In particular, we've used a certain type of sticker detailing that is a little bit easier to find on Bricklink, though there are several different alternate versions if you wanted to change up some of the external detailings on the outside of this guy. You can see a few little gold highlights to show that he's got a bit of the brass embossed Victorian or steampunk-esque style that's been built into him. And the hand cannon in his hand in particular matches up a bit more with that steampunk style as well. I don't know if it's the same one from this scene. I do like the binocular pieces used, though, to kind of show the open holes for the bit of the revolver chamber, and the barrel is just absolutely massive. Outside of that, the base design for the pieces used to make up the shapes on the body, they have not changed. It really is just a color differentiation for this version of Claptrap, and if you wanted to see a slight build differentiation for the guy, you gotta switch over to the third version of him, which is the Customs Claptrap, the CU5TM Claptrap. That's, abbreviation for Customs. People call him the police Claptrap or the cop Claptrap, but he's just your classic power-hungry dingleberry of a robot.
You're in violation of the verbal space morality statute. You just got a ticket.
So in terms of build changes, you can see that he's actually got a little police hat. I like the way Jarek got the lip of the cap to kind of flip up a little bit more. It feels a little bit more cartoony or animated, which is nice. And he also comes with a baton in his hand that's against his hip normally. And in his other hand, he's holding an actual ticket that he's giving you.
Oh, you just got another. I love rules. They make me powerful.
I definitely like the way he looks with the dark blue used here. And I don't know if you actually see this guy with the desert floor, the Pandora floor beneath his little wheel, but I suppose flipping it to a flat gray bottom probably wouldn't look as good anyways. I actually kind of like that all three of the stands match up properly, so when you put them all together, they've got a common thread between the builds that makes them just a little bit more displayable, a little bit more pleasing to the eye. Anyways, this is it. These are the three different Claptrap builds here. I'm definitely looking forward to Borderlands 3. It better not be a big letdown. I know my roommate's definitely looking forward to it. Let me know what you guys think about these little builds here. Jarek did, I think, an excellent job putting these little Claptraps together. Remember, if you do want to buy the building instructions, you can get them at our web store, www.brickvault.toys, and let me know what types of builds you'd like to see in the future. If you've hung around in the video this long, thanks a lot for watching. If you enjoy our content, you can always like or subscribe, and we'll see you next time at BrickVault.
You hear me, Jack? You killed